Hi guys, I'm going to do a review of the horror film Avenged. It was made in 2013 but wasn't released till this year. Avenged is basically a supernatural spin on I Spit on Your Grave, taking place in the desert instead of in the middle of the woods. Now, I Spit on Your Grave is a 1978 film, and I really do like this film because I'm a really big fan of revenge films, especially female-focused revenge films. Like this, I like the remake they did of this and the sequel, like Kill Bill, Lady Snowblood, all those. I just always find those interesting. We follow a young woman named Zoe who is deaf. She is traveling to New Mexico to move in with her fiance named Dane. She's going by herself, which her sister in the beginning is a bit apprehensive because, again, she's deaf and I guess she's kind of overprotective of her. But she gets her way, she takes her car, and she has her phone and she takes like pictures of like where she's at, like road signs, things like that, send them to her boyfriend so he knows where she's at. While traveling to her destination, Zoe comes across two Native American men who are running for their lives. They are both being chased after by a pickup truck full of a gang of rednecks who are shooting at them. The first man, Native American man, gets run over, basically like roadkill, by the truck. And she decides in a split second to help the second man, Native American man, to get away by getting him in her car, even though I think he's already been stabbed or shot. He's already wounded. The group of men come up on her before she can get back in the car and drive away, automatically kill the guy she was trying to save. They easily disarm her after she tries to run away. They catch her. They end up taking her back to their home, like a, not like a garage, just like a big shed or something, where they meet at, and tie her to a bed with barbed wire, and each of the men rape her. Then they realize she's missing and could cause problems for them, so they assign one of the men to kill her. He stabs her and puts her in a shallow grave. Unbeknownst to them, she is actually still barely alive. An elderly Native American man who lives kind of on his own in the desert comes across her, tries to heal her wounds, tries to help her. He performs a ritual to help save her life. And while he does this, the ritual doesn't just bring her back from the dead, but an Apache warrior. So she, in a sense, gets possessed by this warrior. And the rest of the film follows her getting revenge against these men that brutalized her and left her for dead, and also this Apache warrior getting revenge against these men whose ancestors basically murdered and tried to wipe his, his kindred off the face of the earth. So there's kind of that twofold thing going on there. And there's a lot of supernatural elements, of course, because the Apache warrior's spirit gives her, strength, gives her the ability to use these Native American weapons, things like that. Now, like I said before, this is basically I Spit on Your Grave, but set in a desert with a supernatural spin on it. So I did, for the most part, enjoy this film. I didn't think the pacing wasn't an issue. The acting was overall good, especially from Zoe, the main actress. Some of the redneck guys in the film weren't that great of actors, but I guess they really didn't have to be for that role. My only problems with the film were, because I overall did enjoy it, was that there was really no build-up. You meet Zoe, you find out what she's doing, the story is set in place. But probably like a few minutes into the film is when she gets kidnapped and brutalized. So there's no build up to it. You don't really get to You don't really see her as a person, like a backstory. You don't see her with her fiance. Like, there's not really a build up to a relationship or a focus on a backstory. So it's just kind of, you're introduced to the characters, and then the next second it's like all this bad stuff happens, and then the revenge plot kicks in. So there's not really any suspense until that happens. I just think if the film would have spent maybe like 10 or 15 minutes or more showing Zoe's character, maybe more about her life and her relationship with her sister or her fiance, before just jumping into the, rape, attempted murder, revenge plot, it would have made that part feel a little more sincere. Kind of, you would have felt more empathy for her if you had seen kind of her as a person before all that happened. But since it didn't, you kind of, for me, I just really didn't get as, it's still a horrible thing that happened. Of course it is, but there's not that attachment because it just jumped right into it. If that makes sense. Also, because there's a supernatural spin in this with the Native American warrior and different things that happen, the way she gets possessed, weapons she is given, things like that. I found the special effects at times a little bit cheesy. There was like a green glow, and just the way some of the supernatural elements were handled wasn't as nice as they could have been. To me, it just was more like bad horror movie TV type thing. Like, I just thought they could have done better with that, because it just really looked kind of cheap, the effects they did have regarding the supernatural stuff. The gore was actually really good. I was expecting a lot of gore because, especially if it's, kind of going off I Spit on Your Grave, which could actually be pretty gory, and the remakes, of course. So I thought the gore and all those effects were really interesting and well done. It's just all the supernatural stuff could have been done better, in my opinion. So I really wanted to give this movie at least a 6, but just because of, like I said, the kind of rush into the plot with no real focus on the characters before all the bad stuff happens, and some of the lame supernatural effects, I'd probably give it a 5.5. It's really, really close to a 6. It's just, there's those few things that just really bugged me, and I couldn't quite get it there. So I would definitely recommend it if you are into revenge films or I Spit on Your Grave type things. Because I definitely thought it was a decent film, and I don't regret watching it whatsoever. But that was my review of Avenged, and as always, thank you so much for watching.